Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast, sponsored by PrizePicks. My name is Adam Cohn, I am your host. It is a solo pod edition here today. We are going to go over the 3-game Flashpoint 3 main slate here on Draftkings. I'm going to get into our PrizePicks segment later on in the podcast. Speaking of our friends over at PrizePicks, make sure you check them out. Like I said, I'll have our PrizePicks segment later on in the podcast at the very end, going over some plays I like and whether to go over or under on those plays. And I'll give you a little bit like how confident I am in them as well. And we have Dexter and Shiro as options as well. So it's going to be, as you say, kind of very interesting. So check out our friends over at PrizePicks. Use the promo code CLUTCH. Again, that's promo code CLUTCH. New depositors get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It's a fantastic discount, and not discount. You want it, words, people. It is a fantastic promo they have going on over there right now. Sorry about that. Fantastic promo they have going on. And they have a ton of cool stuff going on for the NBA playoffs, for MLB going on. They get a bunch of awesome content. In regards to this podcast, Dan will be back with us here on the next main slate. He has the night off tonight. And as always, we're going to start off with recapping the winning lineup from the previous day's main slate. And the previous winning lineup here, folks, want to square up, who, if you've played CSGO long enough, CSGO DFS long enough, you know is a shark. I'd call this person a shark. They seem to be always up the top of the leaderboard. Solo takedown, $10,000. They had a very interesting lineup. So they had, want to square up, had Captain Blame F with JKS, so it was only a 2-stack from Complexity. What originally was looking like a Captain JKS stack would be the one winning it. Searson and Tabson, so you needed 2 big, even though Nip were the ones, I believe, that won that match. And Tessus had 67 points, who did do good. Took him 2 maps to do it, but he did good. And the interesting thing about this lineup here, folks, is the Cressy one-off for Sprout FPX. My guess is he or she, they definitely needed value at $5,600. They got the value also in JKS and Tabson. But, you know, we said it here on the podcast yesterday. I said how much I really like Blame F. I thought this was a Blame F crush kind of spot. It's no disrespect to Anonymous. But, you know, Complexity got kind of embarrassed by FPX on the previous slate. And this was kind of sort of a, you know, I wouldn't say revenge, but, you know, the fire lit under everyone's rear ends, which we saw here and reflected in these scores. You know, 40 rounds not played. Pretty impressive. So while that wasn't a complete thrashing, it definitely was an overall great performance from Complexity. And Blame F, 126 DK points in the captain spot. JKS at 79 DK points. Searson and Tabson both over 70. 75 for Searson, 72 for Tabson. Tessus at 67 DK points. And the interesting thing, again, like I said, the Cressy call. So, we said yesterday that I said Sprout had a 40% chance to beat FPX. That was not knocking Dan's FPX homer, you know, plays or anything else. I was on FPX. I played 2 FPX. I captained Stico. I thought FPX should have beat Sprout. Win 3 maps, because they only had 4 rounds not played. But Cressy at 5,600 had 45 points, got the value out of it that Want to Square Up needed to have this lineup. But you definitely needed Complexity on this slate. You especially needed Blame F and JKS. If we could take a look at some of the other lineups here, like the second place lineup had Captain Hampus with Device, Zen, Blame F, Tessus, and JKS. It was only a couple points off the winner, with a 458 compared to a 464, so it wasn't that far off. But the Captain Hampus play here, while it opened up having Device and Blame F and Tessus and everyone else here, 87 points just didn't get there. For what it's worth, I also had a 2-stack of Device and Hampus. And I can actually go over my lineup real quick with you all. I decided to go with a 2-2-2 setup, so I went with Stico and Zen. And, you know, Stico did okay, 55, 18, 54, but 77 points in the captain spot was not getting it done. Device, 75.5 DK points. Zen at 65.5 DK points. Hampus, 58 DK points. Cadian, who I said I really liked on the slate, was my second favorite player. I wanted to make sure I got him in my lineup. So you can see I had absolutely no complexity. And when I was picking this lineup, I'm looking at it going, I couldn't get complexity. I wanted to make sure I had Tessus first, then Cadian, and I wanted to make sure I got Device. And that's a matter of how many FPX can I get in. And then when I got on Stiko and Zen, I'm like, okay, I was playing around with salary trying to figure out who I went with. And I'm like, Hampus still has a ceiling, so I ended up getting up to Hampus. However, I could FPX just didn't get there. Zen got there, 65.5 DK points, but you needed complexity on the slate to win the money. And Blame F and JKS both crushed, so it was the pivot from Cadian to Blame F that was the difference maker, in my opinion, to really crush on this slate, and you needed him a captain. So again, congrats to Wanna Square Up for the $10,000 solo takedown. Let's get on to this main slate here today. We have a 3-game main slate. And things that stick out to me on this slate is that Cadian is $10,000. That really sticks out to me. Again, against Nip, against Device, getting no discount for Device. Nip are the ones getting the discount, which are really interesting to me. Blame F, $9,800. Something else sticking out to me on this slate is Tessus is 9,000, Config's 9,200. JKS, for reasons I don't quite understand, is $8,400. That's a little much. So I don't know if I want to even play him on the slate. But we'll get into it game by game as we always do here. Before we get into our first game here on the slate, I would like to ask everyone if you could hit that like button for us. And we have, we've been averaging a pretty decent amount of viewers. Let's see if, like I said, we didn't get yesterday's up to 15 likes, I don't think. But, let's see if we can get today's video up to 15 likes if we could. It really helps us out, helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like we said, Dan and I really want to make this bigger. So shout out to everyone that liked our video yesterday. And leave a comment down below as well. Really helps us out. Tell us what plays you all are on. Tell us why. Interact with us. We want to talk to you all. And we're hoping that this advice out there is helping you all win money. If it's helping you win money, let us know. Reach out to me on Twitter at AdamWX21. You can reach out to the podcast on Twitter at CSGOClutchPod. And reach out to Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, WANDELCH. And, reach out to us. Talk to us. We want to hear from you all. We're hoping this advice is helping you all. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. And hit the notification bell next to it. That way that you all know every single time one of these podcasts drop. Alright, that's enough of the promos. Let's get into today's slate. Mouse Sports versus G2. And this is you have to figure out what to do with this game. I was having a chat with some folks on a Discord that I'm in the main event DFS Discord. And I was talking to two guys in there, Ty and Pappy. And we're going back and forth trying to figure out what to do with this game. And I said my initial thoughts to them are G2 is safer. Mouse Sports are the large field GPP leverage. The only ones from G2 I'm interested in at initial glance are Nico and Hunter. Why? I was looking back at the last couple of games that Mouse Sports and G2 have played against each other. They've actually played against each other quite a bit recently. So, I'm taking out ESO Pro League Season 13. It's a little bit of a while ago. Mouse Sports was still incorporating Dexter. G2 was still trying to figure out what they were doing. But Mouse Sports beat them rather handedly on those two games. But then, it was Mirage and Vertigo. And then you get to the most recent game back in DreamHack Masters Spring 2021. Where, same two maps, Mirage and Vertigo. And it was, a different story. G2 won that one 2-0. So, G2 have won each of the last 3 confrontations with Mouse Sports, which I find very interesting. The IEM Summer 2021 close qualifier, first time they met, is that one 3 maps. That one was very close. So if we take a look, I'm just going to pull all these games up, and we're going to go over, and we're going to do our research. We have time here on the podcast, and we're going to do our research. I think this game is very critical to the slate. So here's the close qualifier from April 27th. They then met the following day on April 28th. It was a 2-1 win for G2. The bans were as follows. Mouse Sports removed Inferno. G2 removed Overpass. That's not surprising. G2 permabans Overpass. Okay? So it was a pick. Mouse Sports picked Vertigo. G2 beat them on that. Then G2 picked Dust 2. Mouse Sports beat G2 on that map. The decider map was Mirage, where we saw G2 beat Mouse Sports 16-14. So that one went close. We're interested in the stats. We need to take a look at the stats. Hunter was plus 15. This is back when Hunter was popping off. Hunter was plus 15. Nico was plus 2. Rops was plus 18. And then we had some more smaller ones. We had Dexter at plus 1. We had Frozen at plus 2. And then we had Acor at plus 4. So Hunter's someone I'm interested in. Nico's someone I'm interested in because Nico's been in much better form lately. Rops has been someone that's been cooling while Froze has been, heating up. Okay, the following day, G2 beat Mouse Sports 2-0. The two maps we saw here, again, same two bans. Mouse Sports banned Inferno. G2 removed Overpass. Okay, it was the same thing. We had G2 still picking Dust 2. Okay, and we had Mouse Sports pick Nuke. Didn't go off of Mouse Sports in that matchup. It just didn't. Mirage was the decider. We never got there. Here were the stats in that one. Nico was plus 7. Hunter was plus 5. Amanek was plus 6. Nexa was plus 14. And Jax was 0. Everyone from Mouse Sports was negative, including Rops, who was minus 1. The most recent matchup these teams had was on the 30th of April in the DreamHack Masters Spring 2021, where G2 beat Mouse Sports again 2-0, and we saw a little bit different. Permabans were the same, so Mouse Sports removed Inferno, G2 removed Overpass. Mouse Sports picked Vertigo again. Mouse Sports lost. G2 picked Mirage. G2 really liked playing on Mirage. Beat Mouse Sports 16-12. Train was the decider. They never got there. Stats here. Everyone on Mouse Sports, with the exception of BMAS, who was plus 1, was negative. Everyone on G2 were positive, except for Nexa, who was minus 1. Hunter was plus 16. Nico was only plus 5. We're going to take that into account when we're looking at this slate, folks. Because what do we think we see from maps? Here's the map pool. This isn't going to be surprising. I think we're going to see Mouse Sports ban Inferno. It is one of G2's best maps. Actually, it is G2's best map. So we're going to have them ban Inferno. So Mouse Sports will ban Inferno. G2 is going to permaban Overpass. Fine. That leaves Mouse Sports. What are they going to pick? Well, they got crushed on Nuke the last time they played it. Okay. I don't think we're going to see Mouse Sports pick into Dust 2. I don't think we see that. I think we're going to see Nuke, Mirage, and I think we'll see Dust 2 as a decider. I could see we are seeing kind of a Vertigo match. If we get Vertigo again, and I don't know if we're going to get the maps in time before slate locks. Hunter really likes playing on Vertigo. He crushes playing on Vertigo. Mirage is another map Hunter goes off on, and so does Nico. Dust 2, great for Oppers. I mean, I'm not emphasizing maps at all as ways we pick people. Let's take a look at the pricing on this slate. For Mouse Sports, Rops is 8,600, Frozen is 7,600, Acor is 6,600, BMAS is 5,800, Dexter is 5,200. And DK continues to put in players that are not on active rosters. Don't play Kenny S, don't play Chris J. They're not on the active rosters of their respective teams. For G2, this is where things get interesting for this slate. Nico is priced at 9,400. In comparison to the players around him, Cadian is 10,000 versus Nip. We have what should be a smash game, Complexity versus Sprout. Blame F is 9,800. Config is 9,200. Tessus is 9,000. And like I said, Rops is 8,600. In comparison, you are going to have to make a decision on this slate where you want to go with your stacks. I would recommend a 3-2-1 stack or a 2-2-2 stack for this slate for large field GPPs. In cash, I would say at least 2 complexity and at least 1 heroic. That's my opinion. I wouldn't say put 3 for mouse sports or G2, but I would say like your safest plays on the slate is complexity. Now, for large field GPPs, and again, I'm not a cash player, but that's just my opinion because cash you're playing the floor. Again, you're not looking to break a ceiling. You want the high you want to get is in the cash line. So, with that being said, like you want to win your head-to-head, you go by floor. You want to win a double up, you just want to cash. So you're looking for those floor plays. Blame F and config stick out for that. But we'll get to Sprout versus complexity in a minute. Let's get back to mouse sports and G2. Knowing what we know about all these games, Nico right in the middle between Katie and Blame F, config and Tessus. He may be someone you want to fade, he may be someone you want to take a stand on and play. That's going to be up for you guys to determine what you want. Like I showed you the stats. It's not exactly like Nico has ever gone double-digit positive fragging in any of the games versus mouse sports. But that was back when Nico was still opping. Or still hybriding. Amanek is now pretty much the primary opper for G2. We keep that in mind. You may want to take a stand and say, I'm playing Nico and fading one or both of the high-end complexity guys. So it's going to maybe be someone you want to take a stand on. Or maybe you play Nico and Hunter, and you want to play Sprout in the large field GPP. And again, we'll get there. I think that's completely viable as well. For me, I want to take a stand on Nico. I want to make sure Nico's someone I have a lot of ownership exposure to. That's my opinion. I think Nico will help crush mouse sports. Hunter is the one that's going to be volatile in my opinion. Like if we take a look at what Hunter has done, right? We take a look what Hunter's done over the last 5 games. 63 DK points against Astralis. 43 against Gambit. Understandable. 57 against FaZe. 90 against Heroic. 69 against Nip. He's 8,000. We've seen in 2 of 3 games, Hunter popped off. Now, if we actually go back to Hunter's stats and we actually take a look at something that's not DK points. Okay. Versus Nip win 3 maps and Heroic win 3 maps. Hunter was at a positive kill to death ratio in both of those. Versus FaZe, he was 70, 14, and 71. Versus Gambit, again, understandable, 33, 9, and 37. Versus Astralis, 54, 17, 51. Well, positive, it was too close. He was only a +3. But the assists made up for it. Now, he got some bonuses. In the Heroic game, where he got 90 points, he had 3 4Ks. Okay, that's not something you can count on every single slate. You can't count on bonuses. We're playing for what we think they're going to do. Like, what's the probability that these guys are going to break a ceiling slate? Hunter, we know, has the ceiling slate breaker potential. If you're playing G2, the only 2 I'm interested in are Hunter and then Nico. Again, depends on your construction. I'm fine with just playing a Hunter. Maybe you want to take a chance on an Amanek at 7,400, who should be low owned, in my opinion. Maybe you want to take a chance on the IGL and Nexa. I do not advocate playing Jax at all. I'm fading Jax, I'm fading Dexter, I'm fading BMS. Sorry, Ty. I may even fade A-Core. The only two really I'm interested in for mouse sports are Rops and Frozen. Now, Rops is always someone that can break any slate. However, Frozen has looked dominant the last two games. Alright, so these are his last two. These are his 3 games in Flashpoint. Versus Fnatic, he was 29, 7, and 23, 57 DK points. Versus Big was 43, 8, and 21, with 2 1v2 clutches and an ace, for 88 DK points at 8,000. Same price tag versus Astralis that we have Frozen at now, 7,600. 55, 8, and 38, with 2 4Ks at 82 DK points. Frozen is the one you want to play if you're playing either one of the two of them in a large field GPP and you're aiming for a ceiling. Okay, if you're playing a couple shots in a large field GPP, I'd say Frozen has a higher ceiling than Rops does. Because we know how great he can break a slate. Now, Rops, again, he's awesome. I'm not saying Rops isn't awesome. Like, trust me, I'm not saying that. We have the last 3 games for Rops, 78, 75, 62 DK points. It's great. Frozen has an excellent ceiling. Not saying Rops doesn't have the ceiling. Frozen's a bit more of that like boom bust player. Rops is a bit more, you know, that great player, has the ceiling games, has great performances. So if you want the extra points and you want to aim for that ceiling, I'd advocate for Frozen over Rops. Will not fault you if you want to play Rops first. Love to play. But they're the only ones I'm interested in for this slate. So that's it for this game. We're going to move on here to Complexity, Sprout versus Complexity. This game isn't going to take long. I'll go in here to our pinnacle odds for this game and for these games in general. Mouse Sports are a plus 109 underdog to G2. G2 a minus 132 favorite. Sprout versus Complexity. Complexity are a minus 223 favorite versus Sprout. Heroic are a minus 229 favorite against the Ninjas in Pajamas. I actually am really surprised at this line that they're that high. I would have pictured Complexity to be much higher. But I think Complexity just roll Sprout. Like if we go back and we take a look at Flashpoint 3, like if we just go over here to events, head into Flashpoint. Sprout versus Complexity is for 11th and 12th place. I'm sorry, 10th and 11th place. So one of them, that extra 100 RMR points could come in handy. And Complexity, yeah, they need that extra 100. So I think we're going to see them scratching and clawing for every single RMR point. I think we see Complexity come out and maybe not crush it like Crusher did it in Anonymous, but I think Complexity win 2-0 or very close 2-0, or Complexity win 2-1. We've seen Sprout are no pushover. Oh, and Mouse Sports versus G2, by the way, is the upper bracket final. Winner of this goes on to the grand final on Sunday. Very important stakes for Mouse Sports and G2. Because I don't think either one of them want to drop to the lower bracket to face the winner of NIP versus Heroic, which is pretty much going to be Heroic. Well, I'll get to that game in a second. Like I said, you're going to have to figure out which one to win Complexity on this slate, folks. Blame F is $9,800 in the flex. He's the second highest priced player on the slate. Config is 9,200. JKS is 8,400. Poison is 6,600. And Rush is 6,200. Sorry about that, folks. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty. My headset shut off on me, which is very weird. Alright, now, with that being said, folks, on this, I was saying before my headset shut off. Sorry about that again. Technical difficulties. Sorry about that. On the Sprout side of things, Favin $7,000 and is the highest priced Sprout player. If you're taking a stand in a large field GPP, this is where I'd be taking my stand. Outside of playing mouse sports, outside of playing Nip, I think the biggest leverage on the slate is take a stand and play Sprout. That's my opinion. Take a stand, play Sprout. Favin's only 7,000, Slacks is 6,200, Cress is 5,800, Dennis 5,000, and Spitty is $4,000. Look, if you decide to play G2 and Heroic, you may need value. Poison could end up being chalk. I think Pappy said that in the main event DFS Discord. He thinks Poison's going to be chalk. I think Poison's a trap. Poison has not played well recently. So we can actually take a look at Poison stats, alright? So let's do that. Let's load up Poison stats here. Poison has one game that's slate breaking, and that was versus Fnatic. I'm writing that off. Versus Anonymous, he had 56 DK points. No, he was not 0 salary. No, thank you. If you're playing Sprout, I like Favin, Cressy, Slacks, Dennis, and then Spitty. Cressy's more of a gut call. It's more of a I want to find a way to get different with Sprout. Favin 1. Slacks, he's someone that has a talent level, and we know he does. As Dan thought what you said in the podcast, like he has a talent level. Against FPX, he was 55, 15, and 52. He held his own, for sure. 55 DK points, 4 Slacks. 2 1v2 clutches, and a 4K. And still only had 55 DK points. Yikes. But he's someone you can take a stand on. Like, I think Cressy will do better than Slacks. And that's not a disrespect to Slacks. We need to get different. So, I think Complexity win this game 80% of the time. In my opinion. Again, you can't play Nico plus play Muff and config. Like, we can try that real quick. If I just play Flex Nico, Flex play Muff, Flex config. That leaves you 7,200 a player. You can't play Kaden, you can't play Tessus, you can't play Rops. You can't play JKS, you can't play Device, you can't play Hunter. I mean, you could play Hunter if you wanted to. That leaves you 6,800 a player. Let's just see everyone under 7,800. Okay, so this could be popular. You could play Shush. You could play Refresh. But then you get here. Like, who am I playing a captain? These are just flex prices. Right? Like, we take out Hunter. I get 7,200 left. Let's go back here to captain. Maybe I want a captain Stalm. That leaves me under $5,000 a player. Who's another cheap captain that's somewhat viable? Hampus. Still $6,600 a player. What's it going to get you? Poison and, what, Acor? That don't look like a good lineup. Like, I mean, like, you're going to have to make a choice. Because if you play a Nico, you may have to only play one of Blame F or Config, and I think we go right back to Blame F. If you can find the money to get from Config to Blame F, I would do it. I think it's Blame F1, Config 2, Poison 3, JKS 4, purely based on price. And Rush 5. Again, I don't play Rush. And it's $6,200. Favin 1, Cressy 2, Slacks 3, Dennis 4, Spitty 5, and I wouldn't play Spitty, in my opinion. Last game on the slate is the Ninjas in Pajamas versus Heroic. And again, Heroic, Caden's 10,000, Tessus is 9,000, Stown is 7,800, Shush is 6,800, and Refresh at 6,000. Shush and Refresh should be chalk because they are the most affordable Heroic players. They are great Heroic players for Heroic. Now we can get back to Refresh Day. I'm more than happy playing Refresh for value on this slate. I think for me, I'd go if I think overall from Heroic, Caden is the top play for Heroic. At 10,000, we have too many other plays that we want to play. Again, if you're fading Complexity, you can get Caden and Nico and have enough value if you're playing Sprout. Which the more I think about it, the more I'm talking myself into playing Sprout. The odds for this game, again, Heroic are minus 229 favorite. Complexity in the last game minus 223 favorite. So I like Katie in 1, Tessus 2. Shush 3, Refresh 4. They're like a 3A, 3B. And Stown last. I actually don't mind. All of Heroic are in play for me. It's very tough to rank them. I would say Shush 3, Refresh 4, Stown 5. I'd even say Stown 4, Refresh 5. I just think Refresh is a great value when it's 6,000. If he gets like 60 DK points, I'm happy. But like versus Astralis today, he didn't need to be the star. Like he's playing like a weird like X Factor-ish role for this team. Like I don't mind playing him at all. But yeah, Stown could break the slate too. So I don't mind Stown at all. It's just a matter of can you afford Katie and test this. Now on the Ninjas in Pajama side. Device at 8,200, love that price tag for him. Rez at 7,200, also really love that price tag for Rez. So let's take a look at what Rez did today. 54 DK points, 57, 10, and 53 with a 1v3 clutch. Okay. Plopsky, is he showing up at all? No. Last time he showed up was versus FPX, where he broke a slate. 70 DK points. I wouldn't even say break a slate, but a great performance. So I don't mind Plopsky as well. Hampus, look, dude has a ceiling. Dude's been consistent. Device 1, Plopsky 2, Hampus 3, Rez 4, ZTR 5. Knock is not on the NIP active roster. It's time for our core value, GPP, and favorite team stack segment. Excuse me, folks. My core play for this slate. I don't have one. I don't have a core play for this slate. If I had to pick one, I'm taking a stand and playing Nico on G2. That'd be as close to a core play as I would say. But I know what, I'll go with it. Core play, Nico, G2. Just got a good gut feeling on him for this slate. Value, Cressy at 5,800. Hampus at 5,600. Large field GPP plays. Blame F. Config. Device. Tessus. Then Cadian. Favorite team stack? I don't have one. Any of these teams can go either way. Favorite large field GPP stack? A 2-man stack from Sprout. Favorite cash stack? Complexity. I mean, I think Heroic and Nip could be 2-1. I think G2 Mouse is going to be 2-1. Complexity should beat Sprout in a very close 2-0, like 16-14s. Or 16-13s. Okay, it's going to be very close. I think Sprout could also beat them. I just don't really have a super favorite team stack. Alright, folks, time for our prize pick segment here. We're going to get out of here. Let's refresh the page. Make sure we get all the latest updated numbers and picks. Ones that stick out to me. Roje, 39.5 under. Denny Slaw versus Endpoint, 41.5. I'm taking the under. He has the skill to frag like crazy, but it's Endpoint. And I give them a ton of respect. So 41.5 at the under on Dennis Law. Roje, still new to Copenhagen Flames. 39.5 is huge to hit and ask for. I'll take the under on that. This is what I was talking about earlier, folks. Is Dexter and Shiro are both have stat lines of 40.5. I'm staying away from both of them. Feel free to go however it is you want if you want to play them. Okay? I don't mind playing a 2-man power play of Roje and Dennis Law and getting the unders on both. Some other ones I'm not as confident, but I don't mind Lecro versus 100 PG over. I know 38.5 is a lot to ask for, 100 PG. Eh. I don't think they're that good of a team. I haven't heard much from them, but I would just say Lekro over. We know the talent level. Elan versus a Go. Over. Snatchy versus Entropics, 37.5 under. Ariel versus Wiz the Krakow, 41.5 is another like trap line. Like I would even stay away from that. I would just go with the 5. My gut says under on Ariel. Yeah, and Mezzi at 39.5 under as well. I don't know what he's been doing since he joined Endpoint, but I would just say under for him versus Skate. Skate are a really good team. Folks, I wish you all the best of luck out there on this slate. Again, you can follow the CSGO Clutch podcast on Twitter at CSGO Clutch Pod. And follow me and Dan on Twitter at AdamWX21 and at Wandelch, WANDELCH. And hit that like button, leave a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button. That way there you all know every single time one of these podcasts drop. Good luck on this slate, everybody. Latest, peoples.